frown. From the midline giants to the Madison Square. Bobo and Cramer, yeah, this man can get it there. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Bobo and Cramer, yeah, the snap to loud. Taking on the world, and the no gonna stop with that New York grit. Now rising to the top. In the line. Yeah, the Bessie in the house is where the legends play. Bobo and Cramer leading the way. Ranking glasses loud, shout it out loud. In the Bessie in the house, we're rocking the town. In the Bessie in the house, we're rocking the town. In the Bessie in the house, we're rocking the town. In the Bessie in the house, we're rocking the town.
And that's right, everybody. Welcome back once again to another edition of the Best Seat in the House podcast. As always, I'm your host, Rob Kramer, joined by my co-host, the great Daniel Bobo Curlin. And we are here on Mischief Night, the Halloween Eve. Thanks, everybody, for joining us here and coming along for our Halloween special. And Dan, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing fine. I just noticed something on the calendar that how crazy is that? I was just thinking about it when I realized that the potential deciding game of the World Series is on Halloween, and I'm thinking, man, those cops in Toronto probably have to work overtime because of that. I mean, talk about a lot of police resources having to go into that. I mean, you got Halloween, which can be chaotic enough on a. And then they got to work the deciding game of the World Series when the local team is in the World Series. You got to imagine what that's got to be like for a city for a police force in a city that's potentially on that has to deal with Halloween on the same day as a local team who's winning a championship. That's got to be stressful. So you got more than enough reason why you got to give a lot of props to the cops everywhere for that.
Hey, no doubt about it, especially up there in Toronto, because they're going to be going crazy.
And especially with the way they do the baseball schedules now, because of the way they extended all the playoffs, several more rounds, you got more the possibility of this happening a lot.
Yeah,
in various cities. For all you know, you could be seeing people one day, maybe dare I say it, in New York in the Village Halloween Parade on the same day. Someone could get a text, Mets from the World Series. Just the thought of that happening with the way that the playoff schedules are now.
Well, like you said, we might as well start here too, because the World Series is coming up to a clinching game right now, Dan, as the Blue Jays have a chance to shut the Dodgers down in Game 6 of the World Series, which would be tomorrow night, like you said, Halloween in Toronto. So I don't know, I got to tell you, I did not expect the Blue Jays to put up this much of a fight. They split in Toronto the first two. Then the 3 games in LA, you got to give it to the Blue Jays. They won 2 out of 3, and they hammered the ball, man. They beat up on Blake Snell, who nobody else has been able to do this postseason. They actually got to Shohei Ohtani as well when he was pitching. So now it's going to come down to Yamamoto in Game 6 trying to keep their season alive. But I don't know, Dan. This is good. This has been a crazy World Series either way so far. But I think we're looking, square at a Game 7 right now. What do you think?
Yeah. I had a weird feeling that Toronto was going to put up a good fight potentially. I mean, in the talks going into that World Series to win it, when I saw the way a couple of rounds earlier in the ALDS, the way they beat the Yankees, I says that could be the World Series right there. That ALDS, because I feel like some years teams that have won the World Series somehow seem to ride off this momentum beating the Yankees. I've seen it with a couple of championship teams before. I saw it in 2002 with the Angels when they beat the Yankees. They rode that wave to a championship. I saw it. We saw it, of course, in the 2004 when the Red Sox pulled off that come from behind win to beat the Yankees. They carried that momentum.
I feel like the Red Sox is a really good a really good point there. The Angels might be a little bit of a stretch, but not that much because the Angels were the first team to knock off the Yankees prior to the World Series since 1997 when the Cleveland Indians did it to them at that point. So that's two good points right there, Dan. You can't really argue it. So and the Blue Jays might just be riding that wave right now. That's continued all the way through a really tough 7-game ALCS against a very good Seattle Mariners team that took them to the limit. And, right now they're going to have to try to get through Yamamoto in Game 6. Otherwise anything can happen in Game 7. And I can only imagine the atmosphere that would be going on in Toronto, Game 7, everything on the line. Because in both of the World Series that the Blue Jays won in 92 and 93, they both ended in 6 games. So we never actually saw a 7-game World Series for the Blue Jays. So this is the first.
Actually, if I'm correct, didn't 93 go to Game 7? If my memory is correct?
No, the Phillies, Joe Carter was a Game 6 walk-off home run.
Yeah. My memory may be a bit fuzzy of that world. My memory might be a bit fuzzy of the 93 World Series, but that could potentially happen. That could potentially happen. Game 6 at well, it's fair. I respect. I know some people in Canada, and I know a lot of the locals still call it the Sky Dome. So I kind of acknowledge that with the locals because locals still call it Sky Dome.
Yeah, no, that's true, and it will always be Sky Dome. So either way, big game going on tomorrow night in the World Series as that gets ready to potentially wrap up tomorrow night. So we'll see what happens there. And obviously we got the big football stories as always this time of year. We're gonna save that because we're also gonna be doing our Jets and Giants quarter century teams today. We'll be revealing that me and Dan came up with doing the Jets and Giants, and also so we'll save the Jets and Giants for a couple of minutes. But what we're going to get into, Dan, now is let's talk some Knicks and Rangers before we round this thing out. We'll start off with the Knicks, Dan. And, things started off really good for the Knicks right now, 2-2. The first 2 wins at home. They dropped the next 2 on the road. They had a chance, had they won that third game, to improve to 3-0 for the first time since the 11-12 season. Or I'm sorry, actually, no, it was the 12-13 season that they last won 50 games. They started off 3-0 that year. Knicks tried to do that in Miami on Sunday night. Didn't work out. Knicks ended up losing that one 115-107. Then they dropped the next one to Milwaukee, 121-111. So 2 tough road losses, to be fair, against 2 decent teams. Obviously, Miami, coached by Spoelstra, is always going to be a good team down there. And, you have Giannis and the crew in Milwaukee, just won the championship a couple of years ago. That team knows what they're doing too. So you can't really kill the Knicks for either loss, but both winnable games, both games that they let get away from them. And it's just it's a shame that the Knicks could at least be 3-1 right now, but instead they're sitting here 2-2. And, it feels like that they left a little bit on the table there.
Yeah, well, like I've said before, me yelling at the TV knows no off season. It's a year-round thing. And once again, the Knicks had 2 second-half meltdowns.
Yeah, unfortunately they did. And it looks like they're really trying to balance this whole, new system, really, that Mike Brown has. And, what are your early thoughts on Mike Brown's new system? I mean, I understand what he wants to do. He wants to run a more balanced team. He wants to spread the minutes out a little bit more, sit Jalen Brunson for points, where you don't want to really drive or ride him so hard that you grind him into dust before it's really even time to say go in the season. We would see that sometimes from Tom Thibodeau, especially, that was a big complaint that a lot of Knicks fans have. Myself, on the other hand, I was a big Thibodeau guy. I understood it. And I'm sitting here at times wondering why they're letting the lead dissipate, and all of a sudden you're trailing, then you're down by 5, then you're down by 10, and Jalen Brunson's still on the bench, and it's just a little annoying. Dan, what do you think of
I
the early returns from Mike Brown's new system?
I think maybe he needs to ease up on that. I mean, this team has a deeper bench now, so no need to do that. I understand maybe it's same thing cost us. You don't need to do that. You got a deep bench. You could that we're supposed to shore this up. So take advantage of it.
The thing is, how deep is this bench? Like, I know they added Jordan Clarkson. I know they've got a couple of these other kids. They got the French kid that was starting for Mitchell Robinson when he's been hurt the last, because that's another thing too, that so far we have not seen Mitchell Robinson. He got this ankle injury. He was sparse in the preseason anyway, but we've not seen him since then, and he has still not made his regular season debut. So that's a big hit to the Knicks defense too. You have to remember what Mitchell Robinson contributes on that level as well. And we even saw it down the stretch last year too, how much better the Knicks. I think he came to the Knicks. He came back in the beginning of March, and just the way he transformed that defense from the rest of the season and throughout the playoffs made so much of a difference in the way the Knicks played. And I don't know, man. I don't know how deep the Knicks bench is. We could sit here and talk about, I like Jordan Clarkson. I like the idea of Jordan Clarkson, but so far I've seen him in a couple of these games, and Jordan Clarkson could be hit or miss, and especially when he's just chucking them up from 3 and shanking them. I don't know. I need to see more out of Jordan Clarkson, and frankly, I need to see more out of this Knicks bench. I still think, as good of a team as I think the Knicks have right now, and I think this is definitely a playoff team, probably a 50-win team, but if you're going to make noise in the playoffs to win a championship, I think the Knicks are still missing one piece, and I don't know what that piece is. Maybe it's a starter, possibly. Maybe it's a big-time bench piece that just lets everybody find their role. But I don't know. I feel like the Knicks are still missing that one big piece. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so, and I think they need to go all in on this. When it gets to trade deadline, they need to go all in, and I have a feeling they will, because I feel
They
like
better.
this team is too good not to. That they gotta take advantage of this, and they got and hopefully Mitchell Robinson comes back soon enough. It gives this team more depth, and then finally they need to shore up on the second half meltdowns.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But this is still early. There's going to be some growing pains in this new system, so let's just hope that it that whatever Mike Brown is trying to teach them seeps in at some point, and then they run with it for the rest of the season.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just hope this is just a blip on a radar early on, and then they're right back at it, and they're back to the standard what we're expecting of the Knicks this year. Because
That's right.
Because I've had this is a season I've never gone into so many. I feel like this is one of the first times, aside from last year, that I've been so high expectations for the Knicks in years.
Oh yeah, I mean, realistically, at any point, because of how far they got last year, and because of the coaching change too, I think that's the thing that maybe the Knicks aren't fully grasping, or maybe they do realize it. Maybe the players more so than James Dolan in the front office, but simply by changing the coach, you raised expectations. You better get to the NBA Finals this year now. Otherwise, everybody is going to criticize them for getting rid of Thibodeau. So I hope they realize that it's all in time. I think you're definitely right about that.
Yeah, they gotta be. Yeah, I feel like this is an all or nothing. It's finals or bust for the Knicks.
Yeah,
and if they don't,
because they're gonna get killed if they don't make the finals, or let's just say at the very least get back to the Eastern Conference Finals. But realistically, even if they do that, and they lose there again, they're still gonna catch hell for it too. But if they don't get to the finals, they're definitely gonna get knocked for getting rid of Thibodeau. But it's all in front of Mike Brown right now. If maybe Mike Brown could be our Joe Torre. You know what I mean? Maybe Mike Brown is going to take this team, that Tom Thibodeau guided along and built and taught, just like Buck Showalter did for the Yankees in the early 90s. He took that team and molded them and turned them into the superstars that were just getting ready to blossom under the leadership of Joe Torre. Maybe let's hope, let's keep our fingers crossed that Mike Brown is Joe Torre and Tom Thibodeau is Buck Showalter. That would be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice if that happens. So let's hope that does happen, because I'm telling you, it's gonna be a very nerve wracking. I haven't watched the Knicks with such nerve wracking moments like this in years, because it's been like so many years since we've had the Knicks with this much high expectations. So
That's right.
And I feel like this is once again a season that's gonna take a lot out of me.
Yeah, well, and it's going to be a flashback to those 90s Knicks teams on Friday night, as it's going to be Knicks against the Bulls. How many times did we see that back then? And Knicks and Bulls now, 8 p.m. Friday night. That's going to be a big game, Friday night Knicks. I believe this one is on MSG, but you can never be sure these days. The game the other day was on NBC. But either way, Knicks Bulls, big game tomorrow night. So we got that going on. And also, too, let's talk about the Rangers real quick before we turn our attention fully to the football, Dan, as the Rangers are coming off a nice 2-0 win, big shutout in Vancouver to snap their skid. The Rangers have been looking pretty crappy over the last couple of games, and obviously it's been a very inconsistent start for the Rangers. But, this is what they're going to have to win on, Dan. This is straight up old school black and blue shirts, Tortorella hockey. And that's what Mike Sullivan preaches, just like Tortorella did back in the day when we watched them during those Ryan Callahan and Brandon Dubinsky years. That's exactly what Tortorella preached, and looks like this is what they're going to have to do. We saw the last couple of games what happens when you don't go out there and play the kind of defense that Mike Sullivan needs you to in this system, and that amounted to a 6-5 overtime loss to the freaking San Jose Sharks, and then a 5-1 blowout against a garbage Calgary team. So when the Rangers play defense, it's going to be a good team. It's going to be good for them.
Yeah, exactly. The Rangers need to keep this up and hopefully score some more goals. And I feel like this team could be a good team. It's like kind of there, kind of isn't, but they need to kind of figure this out soon. Another thing that I feel like that's done or that's maybe caused us to have such a slow start is how late Panarin was to start his season.
Yeah, Panarin's just starting to come around. We've seen some signs of him starting to break out of it. But yeah, I mean, you're right about that, because the guy basically didn't have a preseason.
Yeah, and he's coming to the season cold, and it's showing. They need to short it up. Hopefully, go on a nice winning streak and get back in this very early on. And hopefully, this is just a blip on the radar, because I'm already getting nervous this early in the season. I already went through a lot of this during baseball season, yelling at the TV. So I'm already hoping I'm not going through this all year.
I hear you, man. I hear you, and I do want to give a lot of credit to Jonathan Quick, who had a great game the other night. He was the starter in the 2-0 win that snapped the losing streak. And but I don't want to make it seem like I'm blaming Igor for anything, because so far the Rangers' goaltending this year has been A+. Igor has been off the charts good, but he's been like Jacob deGrom was for the Mets when the Mets couldn't score a run for the guy. As good as he was, he would never get the win because the Mets would always have him leaving with a no decision. It's a lot like Igor Shesterkin this year. He's playing great, and the Rangers can't score a freaking goal for him. But luckily, they scored 2 for Jonathan Quick the other night, and he gets a nice win.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of nice. I feel like another reason Rangers should it would be disappointed for them if they don't make a lot of noise this season is this team has like it's not often you have a team that has a 1 and a 1A goalie. That's what this Rangers team has. They have a 1 and a 1A.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, Jonathan Quick is a certified Hall of Famer, and even at the advanced stage of whatever he is, 38 or 39 years old right now, he's still playing top-notch hockey, and you got to give him, every ounce of credit for that. He also tied Henrik Lundqvist on the all-time NHL list with his 64th career shutout the other night. So Henrik had 64 as a Ranger. Jonathan Quick, I believe his last 6 have been as a Ranger. So shout out to Jonathan Quick for another great year. Or another great game at least, and a great start to the year. But just like it was for the other game, Dan, the defense, as we talked about, is going to be the key for the Rangers this season. And that's going to be tested more than ever tonight because the Rangers are going to be playing the Edmonton Oilers at 9 p.m. tonight. That's right, just about 2 hours. The puck will drop, and the Rangers will be tested like they have only a few times this year been tested before. And it's not going to be the San Jose Sharks offense, that's for sure. You're going to be dealing with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl on this. So let's hope the Rangers are up to the task tonight, Dan.
Yeah, exactly. I feel they need to do what they need to do the last game. They also need to stay out of the penalty box, and they got a good chance of winning this game. I feel that's a key thing against a team like the Oilers. Is that you can't give them extra opportunities.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. You're definitely right about that. You got to contain them and contain their stars, and cutting down their opportunities is definitely a big part of it. So let's hope the Rangers can keep things going after they got the win the other night. And with that, Dan, let's shift our attention now to the football. And that's going to take us to the Jets and the Giants, who both played this past Sunday. Let's start off, Dan, with your New York Football Giants, who played the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions. Got themselves some revenge after the Giants had a stunning 34-17 victory at MetLife 3 weeks ago at this point, but it was 2 weeks, prior to this. So 38-20 victory. That's a obviously crushing loss for the Giants because 2-6 definitely not good for the season right now. 3-5, you're kind of still in that playoff hunt. 2-6, you're kind of on the outside looking in right now. But even worse than that, Dan, on top of this tough loss, the Giants go out there and lose one of their biggest offensive pieces, rookie Cam Scatterbo, the running back who had such success so far this year. He had 3 touchdowns a couple of weeks ago against the Eagles in Philly, at MetLife. And, to lose him to this really, really awful ankle injury where, it was kind of like, one of those one of those crazy injury videos where his foot was basically looked like it was on backwards. So that's about as bad an injury as you can see out there. And, let's hope that Cam Scatterbo gets healthy quick. But unfortunately, we're not going to be seeing him until probably training camp of next year. Dan?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. You froze up for a little bit, but yeah, we're not going to be seeing him until next year. And I'm hoping that this team that Jackson Dart isn't left out in the open too much with this offensive line now missing a lot of key pieces, which scares me the rest of the way.
Yeah, I definitely get that. When you're missing pieces like this, where you don't have Scatterbo anymore, you're not going to have Malik Neighbors. It definitely hurts, and it puts the Giants in and not only that, it puts the Giants in a bad position, but it also puts their young quarterback in a bad position too. Although he still does have Wan'Dale Robinson and a couple other decent options to throw to, but Jackson Dart is kind of a man on an island right now. He's the only guy on the offense, at least, that's trying to keep this thing afloat.
Yeah, and the last thing we need to do is this offense leave such a big hole that he's taking one too many hits, because we've seen this happen to too many quarterbacks on this team. Oh, hold on, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Hold on, gotta for a second.
All right, well, we'll be rejoined by Bo in a second here. but definitely really, really just tough loss for the Giants there. That's a lot to take in when basically they have to save face. Although I think they did that already in a way by beating the Eagles, showing everybody that this isn't a pushover franchise anymore. We know that they had the embarrassing loss to Denver a couple of weeks ago, and then they just couldn't hang with the Super Bowl champs this time, as the Eagles learned very well from their mistake the last time by taking the Giants a little lightly, maybe a little lighter than they should have. As we're about to be rejoined by Bobo here. But the other thing too that really must have stung for a lot of Giants fans, and we'll get Dan's thought on this in a sec, is the Saquon Barkley had another awesome game, 150 yards, 14 carries, 4 receptions, 24 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, one through the air, one on the ground, and he actually ended up leaving the game early because of a little quad problem. But just another way to kick you when you're down, right?
Yeah. And another worst thing I had to hear from the Eagles fans at work, oh, thanks for Saquon. Ugh, I'm sick of that Eagles fan at work. And man, that was torture. I don't know what's worse. Fly, Eagles, fly. Anything by Jonas Brothers, anything by Taylor Swift, and anything by Celine Dion is torture to me. Oh, and anything by Justin Bieber is torture to me. any of those things can be torture to me. Can be torture to me.
I hear you. All right. I get it. So that's not exactly your cup of tea. And hey, I don't blame you, man. It sucks when you see your guy go. In a lot of ways, it reminds me from a Met fan's point of view of how the Mets lost Zach Wheeler, and it just really sucks seeing a guy go to your rival and succeed. So Saquon unfortunately had that really nice day against the Giants, but now the Giants, Dan, you're getting set for Week 9 against the San Francisco 49ers. And it's at MetLife, and the Niners actually are only 2.5-point favorites. That actually kind of surprised me. What do you think about that, Dan? Obviously we'll give our picks later on, but what do you think about the fact that the Niners are still a pretty good team? This is Vegas actually showing the Giants some respect,
That surprised me too, because I just feel like I'm ready to throw in a towel in the season because it just smells a lost season. It just smells lost season. But I guess maybe the Giants maybe have a little bit of fight in them, and I'm all for that. If they're going to show, I hope the Giants show a little fight, even if they don't make it. Show a little fight the rest of the way. Carry this momentum into next year. I feel like this team has to at least still try to build toward next year when hopefully we got back a healthy Middle League Neighbors and a healthy Scatterboo and stuff, and then hopefully the Giants make the right moves they need to make in the offseason and really go at it and finally become what I expect of the Giants, because I'm used to the Giants being a tough opponent, being contenders. And I'm not used to going into football season. Here we go again. I go from one bad season to I go from one sport where my team didn't make the playoffs to this, and I'm expecting a bit more. I'm expecting a bit more next year, and I'm expecting this team to show some more fight going into next year.
I hear you, man. So, all right, Giants and 49ers this Sunday. So we will give our picks on that at the end. And Danny, you still with us there, or did you drop off? All right, we might have lost Dan there. Let me let him know that he's there, that he's not there. All right, yep. All right, so we lost Bo, but he will be back momentarily. Until then, yeah, let's get into the Jets talk now. And obviously, I'm the big Jet fan, so I can have no problem leading that one as the Jets end up stunning the Bengals 39-38. And look, if you've watched this show over the past couple of years, you know how I felt about the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. Obviously, I was a big fan of Aaron Rodgers. I was not a fan of the way the Jets chose to get rid of him this offseason. I was not a fan of the guy they replaced him with. I was not a fan of a lot of the Jets' decisions, including Aaron Glenn being named head coach, who, as much as I liked Aaron Glenn, I've always been a fan of Aaron Glenn. He's I've mentioned this before. He's my second favorite Jets corner all time, to Darrelle Revis, as we're rejoined here by the great Daniel Bobo Curlin. And what happened there, Dan? You got dropped off?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. This Wi-Fi's been doing this as they put in this new router. I don't know this shit all. Well, it's just been going. Sometimes it peters off, so I have to do a reset. So I had to do an emergency reset. But I got that I got that taken care of. Now the guy's he just had to. Some people had to walk around and take a little walk and fix it longer.
That's right. So, all right, you're back in the saddle again, and let's get this thing rolling. I was just getting into the Jets and the Bengals as we're talking about the Jets' big victory, and I was just saying about how obviously, if you've watched the show, if you've done a show with me, you know that my feelings on a lot of the Jets' decision making over the last few months. But I also came out last week, and really knocked Woody Johnson for what he said about Justin Fields, because you cannot blame Justin Fields for the Jets' 0-7 start. While he did play a role in being 0-7 coming into this game, and why he obviously was a big reason for that in at least 3 or 4 of those games, you can't blame him. The defense allowed over 30 points a game for the first 5 weeks of the season. The average points per game against the defense through week 5 was 30.4. That's not on Justin Fields. So you can't sit here and rewrite history and say that he's the only reason. In fact, week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he looked a lot like Lamar Jackson. That's how crazy it's been with Justin Fields this year. He looked great, but then he turns in the performance like he had against the Bills. Then he turns in a performance like he had a couple of weeks ago, against the Dolphins, and these games where he completes 9 passes and for 47 yards. Like, we've seen it time and time again. However, I got to give all the credit in the world to Justin Fields, because what he came and had to deal with, because the stupid owner of the Jets opened his mouth and ripped him in the way he did and blamed him for the entire season, and to come out and perform in the way that he did, I give Justin Fields all the credit in the world. This guy, he's obviously tougher than people give him credit for too. 21 of 32, 244 yards, a touchdown, no picks. Obviously moved the ball on the ground too. Through that touchdown pass that he threw was as sweet as it gets on 4th down in the corner of the end zone. He looked like more confident than I've seen him all season when he was throwing that. He also completed a big time decision for Aaron Glenn when he was basically being dragged down by a defender, and before his knee hit the ground, got rid of the ball, hit the receiver in the end zone to complete the 2-point conversion. So really, really great game by Justin Fields, Dan. A lot of things can be said about this kid to criticize the way he's played quarterback overall this year. But after the way that our stupid owner opened his mouth, you got to praise Justin Fields for the way he came back and composed himself this week.
Yeah, I kind of saw little bits of it when I was watching Sports Night, because I'm watching Sports Night for all my New York sports highlights, and I saw that a little bit. So you got to give a little. You have to give credit to Justin Fields to have a fire lit under him to do something, because this team is a team needs to. This team kind of needs a spark, and they may gotten it. It's probably still going to be a disaster, but at least show some fight.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I definitely think it lit a fire under him. And the other thing that I think it lit a fire under too was Breece Hall, because the Jets running back Breece Hall went out there and had one of his career games too, as he rushed the ball 18 times for 133 yards and two touchdowns on the ground, caught 2 passes for 14 yards, and also threw a clutch go-ahead 4-yard touchdown pass at the end of the game right into rookie Mason Taylor's hands. And it was just phenomenal the way that this whole thing unfolded. And apparently Breece Hall went to the coaching staff prior to the game and said, look, with, Garrett Wilson out, feel free. I want the ball. Give it to me 20 to 25 times, and, I'll help our offense. And he did just that, man. You got to give him credit for telling the coaching staff that he wanted the ball, and you got to give him credit for going out there and executing.
Yeah, exactly. You got to give credit to that. Maybe all those things those jokes I've said about the potential, top cornerback, top draft pick, taking a look at the Jets, because I feel like these top picks are taking a look at where they could end up and try to be ready for what they're going into, and you want to show up a good showing, because you don't want to be a downer on the confidence of the next on that top draft pick. When they end, even if your team turns into a disaster, you want to show that top draft pick that there's going to be a lot of upside on the team they're going into, and they don't want to they don't want to go into a very horrible environment.
And Breece Hall is a big part of that, Dan. And the thing is that Breece Hall is on the last year of his deal right now, his rookie contract. So a lot of people are speculating if the Jets are going to trade him at the deadline. That is something that they should absolutely not do. Just like you said, he is a building block piece. He's only 24 years old. It's crazy to think he's still that young. And, this is a guy that you can definitely build around. And I'm telling you, even if you can't come to a contract with him, I would, you could franchise him for this year too. I would franchise him. That, for running back, it's not going to be very expensive. So that's how far I would go to keep Breece Hall in the fold. But a guy who will not be in the fold, Dan, is the cornerback the Jets had from their 2021 draft. He's a guy that's been a really good Jet here last couple of years. It looks like injuries and a little bit of the style of play kind of hurt his production over the last year or two. But Michael Carter has been a very good Jet, but he was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, so he'll be heading over there to be a depth corner for them. And he's bringing back John Metcham, wide receiver, former Alabama wide receiver who has a high ceiling, but this is a guy that also was diagnosed with cancer in his rookie season. So he's still, he seems fully back from that and healthy, but that's something that he's been dealing with since his rookie year. This is his third year in the league now, and he's been traded twice this year. So it'll be interesting to see how the Jets use him. And the Jets also got back a 6th-round pick in that deal too. So I think Michael Carter was probably going to be a cap casualty in the offseason anyway. So, hey, it's nice to see the Jets be proactive during the season, trade Michael Carter, who unfortunately lost his job. The Jets pulled off a trade for Jarvis Brownlee from the Tennessee Titans earlier this year to improve their corner depth when they had a couple of injuries. And he's actually fit in really well and made the game sealing play actually the other day to seal the Jets' first win. So, unfortunately, Michael Carter sees himself on the outside looking in, and the Jets have pulled off this trade with the Eagles. So what do you think about it, Dan?
Yeah, I think this was a key move the Jets had to make, and let's see where it does going forward. Might be one of those moves that kind of seems like kind of falls under the radar, but could pay off big dividends in the long run.
Yeah, no doubt about it, especially with the Jets lacking so much depth in their wide receiver room. This kid, John Metcham, could come in and really find himself getting a decent amount of playing time, depending on how he plays. So he'll have a week or two to integrate in the system, as the Jets are going to be having their bye this week. They're going to come back at home in week 10 on November 9th. So we still got a little bit of a ways to go for that. So the Jets are going to be on the sidelines for a little bit, celebrating that win after that. But the Jets, the big story is get the 39-38 victory, knocking off Joe Flacco and the Bengals. It was not the Joe Flacco revenge game like I said it was going to be. For a while, it was looking like it, 38-24 in the fourth quarter, but the Jets erased that deficit. Their biggest comeback in the fourth quarter since the Monday Night Miracle against the Dolphins, their 40-37 win in Miami on Monday Night Football back in 2000.
Yeah, so that's something there. And I looked at the score after the Giants game ended. I just took a glance at the score and I says, "Are my eyes playing the tricks on me?" Because I would have lost money if I placed a bet in Las Vegas on that game.
I hear you.
I
hear you.
I would be in so
everybody would've.
much debt. I'd end up in the Squid Games for a real.
Well, based off our
not
picks
just
last week, I actually did cover with them. So I would have, if you would have listened to me, you actually would have covered with the Jets. I actually picked them to win last week, so I did get that one right. But yeah, all right. And on that note, Dan, I think let's get into our big segment for this one now, and it is the New York Jets and New York Giants quarter-century teams. Let's start off with the Giants, Dan. We're going to do the Giants quarter-century team that is the best players from our recollection that have played for the New York Giants from between now and the 2000 season, so the last quarter century, if you will. So let's start off with the Giants, Dan, and I don't think it's really going to surprise anybody when we're starting from the quarterback position for the New York Giants over the last 25 years. I think there's really only one place to go, and his name is Eli Manning. Let me pull this up here for you right now. And here we go. Eli Manning.
Yep, without a doubt, that definitely this one was so easy to definitely say Eli Manning, who definitely should be, and I will argue this for the rest of my life. Eli Manning should be a Hall of Famer, and he will be eventually, without a doubt. I will argue this one. I will continue to argue this one for as long as I need to.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's even debatable. I think everybody that wants to even try to argue it are probably either just Patriot fans or just Giant haters, because it's just that Eli Manning obviously you both think he's Hall of Famer. Obviously, he's number one quarterback for
yeah, your audio. I can't hear you. Your voice is petering out.
It's okay. Just let's see. It's probably just because of the music. Is that better now?
Yeah, it's better now. Yeah, but yeah,
right.
definitely without a doubt, Eli Manning. This Eli came through so many times in the clutch situations, and I can tell you you wanted to get the ball in his hands in the fourth quarter, without a doubt. He was money in so many fourth quarter moments.
No doubt about it. So we kick things off there with a slam dunk in Eli Manning, and let's keep it going, Dan, with another Giant quarterback that played in the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, they would lose this one, but I think he definitely earned his spot as the backup for Eli in the quarter century team, and his name would be Kerry Collins. What are your thoughts on Kerry Collins from his time as a Giant quarterback?
Kerry Collins was a decent quarterback. I mean, he kept us in games. He won games for us. So I have to give credit to that. This was the first time we had a good quarter. We hadn't had a decent quarterback in ages, and he helped with the revival of the Giants, because we had a couple of dark years there. And he was a key factor in that. And
he helped reignite them, in the post Parcells era, right?
Yeah, exactly. To that unlikely Super Bowl appearance that was like the first time since 1990. That was the first time since 1990 that I was like really looking at a Super Bowl with this intensity in my eyes, like on the screen. was this guy, and he was a part of that I feel like that revival that may have set the stage for those two championships we had later on.
Could be, no doubt about it. Definitely helped lay the foundation. And part of that foundation too. Let's keep it rolling along here for a future Hall of Fame Giants halfback, and that is Tiki Barber, who unfortunately did not get to win a championship with the Giants, but was, especially after he got through those early fumble years when he couldn't really hold on to the ball and would have those issues. He was one of the all-time great Giant halfbacks of all time.
Yeah, exactly. Without a doubt, he was one of the great. This guy was definitely one of the greats. He was money. Once he figured out once he figured out that whole thing, once he shored up a little bit on the fumble issue, he was money. He was explosive, and there's still argument of. I mean, Giant fans kind of get a little. I mean, even myself got a little sour when he retired too soon, but he was explosive at running back without a doubt.
Just realized that I had up New York Jets quarter century team the whole time, so sorry about that. In fact the Giants quarter century team.
But yeah, he was explosive. He was explosive of a running back. I remember back in those days.
Yeah, Tiki was great, and unfortunately, him and Tom Coughlin didn't really get along. So I think the Giants bringing back Tom Coughlin kind of played a role in Tiki saying, you know what, I'm just going to call it a career. And unfortunately, it stinks for Tiki. If he would have stuck around just one more year, he would have got a championship like this guy who comes in as the number 2 running back on the Giants quarter century team. And his name is Ahmad Bradshaw. He was a big piece of that 3-headed running back system they had with Jacobs and everybody else over there. But the guy that I think stood among the rest in this situation was Ahmad Bradshaw. What do you think about him, Dan, and his time as a Giant?
Oh yeah, that definitely did. This was something that maybe made that pain of Tiki Barber retiring a lot easier. Was Ahmad Bradshaw? He was part of that. He was part of that system that it was just explosive, and he just started getting on fire at that right time down that stretch run in 2007. Like, it was just, and boy, was it a magical run. And he's a big factor into that magical Super Bowl run we had.
Definitely was, no doubt about it. So Ahmad Bradshaw comes in there as the second running back. Now we're going to be looking at the Giants receivers, and it's tough to start a Giant receiver conversation off over the last 30 years without mentioning this man, Amani Toomer, one of the great Giants of all time.
Oh yeah, you definitely got to mention Amani Toomer. This guy made so many money plays as a wide receiver. He was a big part of the revival of the Giants, and he stuck around long enough that he was able to be a part of that championship glory. And what can I say? He's definitely one of the greats, and I've met him before I met him once at a Giants training camp with him. Super nice in person.
Very cool. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. He seems like a real class act. This is a guy that everybody that has talked about with the New York Giants over the years has talked about what a class act he is. Now, we're going to be talking about another guy right now who I don't know if he'd get the exact same class act treatment, but even though his impact here was certainly not as long tenured as Amani Toomer, and he also did not capture a championship, this guy, although polarizing, was one of the better players in the NFL when he was a New York Giant, and that would be Odell Beckham Jr. Dan, what are your thoughts on Odell? And looking back on him, do you view him positively or negatively?
I view him positively. I mean, if it wasn't for all those injury issues, we had a wide receiver that was money, and I only wish he didn't have those injury issues. What this Giants teams what we could have had, just the thought of it, and
yeah.
just the thought of it, what we could have had. Those injuries just did him in too quick. But man, before those injuries, he was just money, and you felt like the Giants were going to do something special before that. And if only he didn't hang out on that boat with Justin Bieber before that playoff game. If only he didn't do that.
That's true. That's the one thing that that Giants team does get criticized for, and he did get to play in a playoff game for the Giants, but unfortunately for him, it was just that one game there. So Odell Beckham Jr. comes in there as the Giants list, and we got another 2 receivers on this list. We're going with the top 4 on our quarter century team, and how could you do a recent Giant list like that and not talk about the great Victor Cruz? You know, obviously as a Jet fan, his incredible 99-yard touchdown catch on Christmas Eve in 2011 will scar me for the rest of my life.
By the way,
But you know, this guy
was there.
You've mentioned that plenty of times, and yes, that was. I'm sure that was as jubilant for you as it was devastating for me. But one of the most electric plays you're ever going to see, and this guy was a great Giant for a long time.
Yep, another one who was another one who I have to say was super nice. Actually, at the parade, I was waving at him.
Did we lose Bo again? No. Yeah, looks like we might have lost Bo. I guess he was waving at Victor Cruz. That's what I'm going to assume happened. And all right, I guess we'll see if he pops back up again. But yeah, I mean, Victor Cruz here, you know, definitely as a Jets fan, that's the one thing that'll always haunt me is that, you know, Giants backed up against the goal line, Christmas Eve, you know, 2011, and the Jets were the team that were at that point. Nobody took the Giants seriously, and everybody thought that the Jets were the sure thing playoff team, especially after the last couple of years, how the Jets had succeeded under Rex Ryan. Nobody expected the Jets to crap out in the fashion they did over the last couple of weeks in the 2011 season. And I think even more unexpected was the Giants, even though we had just seen in 2007 the Giants do the most unexpected thing of all time, and that's beat the Patriots. But, you know, they unfortunately were not able to, as I get a text from Bobo saying, fixing this thing right now. So, all right, we'll be rejoined by him momentarily. But yes, Victor Cruz comes in here just because of, you know, the great career that this guy had on the New York Giants. You know, he obviously was a big part, and he was the thing about Victor Cruz too that a lot of people love about him is that he was an undrafted free agent too. So he didn't really have the pedigree of a first round pick like Odell Beckham Jr. or anything like that. He really earned his bones at the NFL level on his own. And as we're rejoined here by Dan, so as you were saying.
Yeah, Victor Cruz. I mean, before those injuries late in his career, I mean, he was an explosive as a running back as you could. He just flew right under the radar when the Giants, when he was first there a rookie. He had an injury that preseason, but the next year, Eli Manning, smart man, took it, could convince the coach Coughlin and everyone management to take a chance on this guy, and it paid off big time with some glorious moments in that championship. And even as you said, that game that I was at, that felt like a nice little Christmas present that was like the first Christmas gift I opened was that Giants win on Christmas Eve that time.
So Victor Cruz coming in there as the final Giants receiver on our list. Let's turn our attention now, Dan, to the Giants tight ends. And it shouldn't surprise anybody that this guy, who technically did get a 2007 championship ring, but was hurt for the whole year, so was not able to partake in the postseason. Jeremy Shockey, he's got to be number one for the Giants on this list, Dan.
Yeah. I just feel like the Giants maybe didn't didn't cut bait with him too early. There could have been just a little bit more with this team. I just feel like he just needed to get his head straight. They would have been a little bit more patient. There could have just been a bit more, but man, he was money during his time with the Giants. You could say what all you want. He was a key player in that championship season, without a doubt.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Jeremy Shockey was a big time star for the Giants for a long time, and obviously a highly drafted pick too, as we were talking about with that pedigree coming out of Miami there as a star with the Hurricanes. So Jeremy Shockey, no doubt about it, Dan. He was a boss for the Giants, and if you think there's a reason why I just said that, then you're probably right. It is the fact. Oh, actually, no, I forgot to bring up. You know what? We're gonna skip back one more time. I forgot to bring up the last Giant receiver we were gonna do, and that's Malik Neighbors. I'll do the backup Giants tight end in a sec, but Malik Neighbors deserves a shout out here as the fourth Giants receiver. Malik Neighbors definitely makes this list, in my opinion. Although he only had that one rookie season and a couple of games here in 2025, I believe he is one of the more talented Giants receivers we've seen over the last 2 decades, and I think he definitely belongs on this list, even though he doesn't have that many games to play. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I think so too. Definitely, he definitely should be on this list. And I feel there's going to be a lot more moments that are going to cement this as the further he goes on, especially if he comes back, if he's able to come back to what we expect him to.
That's right. So shout out to Malik Neighbors there for making the list, and also the guy, as I mentioned his name before, Boss Kevin Boss. That's right. That's the guy that ended up really taking over for Shockey in the postseason after Shockey got hurt that initial year, and this guy. Kevin Boss really played a big role for the Giants over the next couple of years, Dan, and I think he really cemented himself in Giants history.
Yeah, without a doubt, he made key plays in all aspects on that offensive line, and just set the door up for some big for those big offensive plays. So you got to definitely mention him, even though he's not the loudest name in some of these Giant teams. He still had a big impact.
No doubt about it. And he deserves the respect for accomplishing all that he did during his time as a Giant. And another guy that deserves a lot of respect, too, is a guy that, when we get to the offensive line now, you're going to see a lot of guys who were just anchors for this Giants team for a long time. And the first guy we're going to talk about here is New York Giants former offensive tackle, David Deal. And what are your thoughts and memories about David Deal being your anchor on the left side?
Oh yeah, without a doubt, David Deal just did a great job. Created a lot of blocks to create a lot of openings for this team, and he is without a doubt a big factor into that championship offense that was the 2011 New York Giants, without a doubt. And I actually met him at a thing in the city, and he's another one that was super nice when I met him. So I got to give a lot of credit to him.
Very cool, David Deal, no doubt about it. A great New York Giant during his time here, and a guy that hopes to have that that way we just spoke about David Deal by the time he wraps up his career here is another really good Giant. That's their current left tackle, Andrew Thomas. Obviously, he's dealt with some injuries, but this guy has really shown that he is a big piece of the New York Giants' future, as you clearly see the difference in the New York Giants offense and the protection of their quarterback when Thomas is in the lineup as opposed to when he's not.
Yeah, exactly. He's another one I feel is he's shown a lot of upside so far from the time he has been played, and I expect him to keep this up, and he'll be a key factor in this offense that's going to be really dangerous, I feel, in the years to come.
That's right. He's going to be a big part of it. And as we talked about with David Deal a moment ago, this is another guy who is going to be talked about glowingly by New York Giant fans over the years, and that is the the son-in-law of the head coach, Tom Coughlin, Chris Snee. And Dan, what are your thoughts on Chris Snee being on the Giants quarter century team here, the offensive guard?
Oh yeah, without a doubt, him being on this team's another one that just done these little things that just opened the door for us for this offense. And I have to I had he's another one that just really gave us led to the big moments.
That's right. That's right. And the other guy that we have here for more recently and as a backup to him is former Giant guard Kevin Zeitler. Kevin Zeitler played a really good role for the Giants for a couple of years. They got him in a trade for the Browns. And I think that he was a really good piece here for a couple of years here. And he doesn't get a lot of respect because he did it during a time when the Giants didn't exactly have the best team.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. He's another one. I feel like he was just a pretty decent player, and he may have fallen under the radar, but definitely deserves a lot of the credit that he got.
No doubt about it. And all right, getting back to center now, Dan. This is another one of those anchors that we're going to talk about, and obviously there he is holding up the Giants win newspaper, and that is all-time Giants great center Sean O'Hara.
Oh yeah, we got to definitely give a lot of credit to Sean O'Hara. Probably one of the great centers that allowed for Eli Manning to make those big plays. I mean, this guy raised the bar high when it comes to centers in his Giants team, and without a doubt, you got to mention Sean O'Hara in a quarter century Giants team, without a doubt.
Absolutely. So Sean O'Hara makes it on here. Another guy who's forgotten about by a lot of Giant fans, but I wanted to shed a little light on him too. Weston Richburg, a Giant about 10 years ago. He was on that 2016 team that made the playoffs. He's a former second-round pick. Played really well for the Giants for a few years here, but kind of falls in a little bit in that memory hole for a lot of people. But I wanted to give him a little shout out there as the backup center, Weston Richburg.
Oh yeah, we definitely got to give a lot of credit to him. He managed to not have the Giants may have had that many great years when he was around, but he sure was money in that 2016 season that led to us being in the playoffs after a couple of years of a playoff drought.
That's right. And this is another guy that he's definitely not as forgettable as Weston Richburg. I think a lot of Giant fans probably either had this guy's jersey or poster on the wall at some point growing up, if you're an older Giants fan, and that is Michael Strahan, a guy who went out there and went to the Hall of Fame, ends up getting a couple of, he gets a Super Bowl ring for the Giants, came in here in 93 all the way to 2007, and definitely a surefire member of the Giants quarter century team.
Oh yeah, you definitely got to mention Hall of Famer Michael Strahan. This guy, he started the revival of the big blue wrecking crew defense, a defense that opponents just feared, and this guy lived up to those whole things when he's riling up the defense, all those stomp you out things. He lived up to it. He stomped out the competition, and without a doubt, definitely one of the greats of all time. And I'm lucky that we us Giant fans have gotten to have this guy on our team those years.
Oh yeah, hell of a player, no doubt about it, man. Everybody will never forget how great Michael Strahan was, and also a guy that he groomed to take over that spot too in Osi Umenyiora. This guy went out there, won a couple of championships with the Giants. He was on both teams. And hey, he was a big piece, and he's a big reason why the Giants defense didn't really miss a beat after the retirement of Michael Strahan.
Yeah, without a doubt, you said it right on money. That's the reason why we put him on his quarter century team. This guy, like Strahan retired, this guy stepped up and we did not miss a beat. This defense was still that defense that opponents feared, and he's a big factor for that, especially in that year where we went all the way.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And another guy who I'm very partial to, and we're being liberal putting him in this defensive tackle spot, but he was also kind of an end, but he did play defensive tackle for the Giants, so we decided to shift him over here and put him on, and that is Justin Tuck. I always loved Justin Tuck coming out of Notre Dame. He was one of my favorite players. Obviously, I'm a big Notre Dame fan, so always liked seeing the local guys come here, and Justin Tuck came here and was a great Giant and won 2 championships here.
Yeah, without a doubt, he's another one that was a key factor into that defense. So you definitely got to mention him on this list, without a doubt.
Yeah, Justin Tuck played a big role on this team, no doubt about it. And the other guy that we're going to have in here for defensive tackle is going to be a current New York Giant, and his name is Dexter Lawrence, Dan, and Sexy Dexy, as they call him. He's a hell of a player. Obviously, he's taken some bows and arrows against him right now, as he had a bad game a couple of weeks ago, but people just a couple of weeks before that were calling him the best defensive player in the NFL. So I don't necessarily know if I believe all the criticism of him, but what do you think of Dexter Lawrence?
I feel like maybe every so often he has a bad game, but for every bad game, he has a huge stretch of good games. And this guy, I feel, is going to play a big factor in the defense, into the rival of this opposing offense fearing a defense that we're gonna see right now. And he's already showing it in this short little sample, and I expect more of that from him.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And so that's the defensive tackles. Now we're going to look at the linebackers for the Giants, and that is going to start off with another big piece of those Giants championships, and that is linebacker Antonio Pierce, who went on to become a head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders. And hey, you got to give Antonio Pierce a lot of credit. He has been he was a giant piece of this New York Giants defense back then, and I think he definitely deserves his place on this list.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. His season, the kind of defense he played in the 2007, without a doubt, was a big factor into that. So and during his time, he was part of that defense that made the Giants a tough opponent in their best years, without a doubt.
Yeah, and he just has. There's a reason why, even though it didn't really work out great for him there, there's a reason why he became head coach, and he's that smart of a player and that good of a motivator. And Antonio Pierce played a big role on those Giants teams, and a guy that is probably known to for a little bit more of his work in the 90s for the Giants, though. But he did play in a Super Bowl here, and he did have a couple of good years stretching into the 2000s. And that's all-time Giant great linebacker Jesse Armstead.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, Jesse Armstead made some great defensive plays, and he was part of that rival for the Giants to having being a contender, being in the playoffs for the first time in ages. So you got to definitely mention Jesse Armstead in this.
Jesse Armstead makes the list there, and coming in as the final linebacker on our list here is a guy that I think a lot of people forget about too, and his name is Blake Martinez. Dan, Blake Martinez came in as a free agent from the Packers a couple of years ago. After the 2019 season, he was injured. The Giants brought him in, and he had a couple of really good years here as a Giants linebacker. And I think people forget about how impactful he was to this Giants defense during that time period.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, he definitely has a big impact in our defense. And without a doubt, he's a big factor in that our first playoff appearance we had in years.
Yeah, it's true. So Blake Martinez gets a good shout out there. And speaking of a guy that had a big impact in a playoff appearance, how can we talk about that as we shift our attention to the cornerbacks now for the New York Giants, and not talk about number 23 Corey Webster, who came away with one of the most impactful interceptions in New York Giants history in the 2007 NFC Championship game.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, that intercept he came through so many big times, and especially that NFC Championship game and that overtime in 2007 NFC Championship game, which was that game was a whirlwind of emotions. I think some neighbors were wondering if I was okay because all the noise they heard from my house. And I had to explain to them, no, this game, what was going on. I had to literally give a synopsis of the entire game to explain why all the noise in my coming out of my living room during that game, because that was one wild game.
Corey Webster definitely earned his spot on that list with that play alone, basically. But he was a great cornerback for the Giants here during his time. Another guy that deserves to get a lot of credit for the Giants. He played another Super Bowl for them. Was Jason Sehorn, who was one of the more recognizable members of the Giants defense in the late 90s and the early 2000s. And he comes in on this list as the number 2 cornerback. What do you think about that, Dan?
Oh yeah, definitely needs to be mentioned. I mean, he just had this quickness that just was able to make those quickness that allowed him to make those defensive plays. So without a doubt, you got to mention him.
Absolutely. So Jason Sehorn comes in there. Now we're going to take a look at the safeties real quick. And I think there's really only one way to introduce this guy. And that would be, it's Giants time in the Super Bowl. Eli Manning and Antrell Rowe gonna win. Yeah. Dominate, baby. Gonna fuck the shit out of Tom Brady.
Oh yeah, and boy did he in so many big defensive plays that year. That is just hearing that is just take me back to that listening to that song as that plane is taxiing toward the runway to take off from Newark Airport, bound for Indianapolis, for where I got to witness one of the greatest moments I've ever gotten to see in sports in person.
No doubt about it. So got to give a little shout out to our buddy, the great Eastside Dave McDonald, for that song on there. The Forget Tom Brady song. You can check that out on YouTube. We'll probably stick that in our video description. But yeah, so Eli Manning was the quarterback, but Antrell Rowe right here, the safety that gets us started here on the safeties there for the Giants. No doubt about it. A giant piece of that giant defense back there. And, the other safety that we have on this list, too, was, this guy was really, as we just mentioned, Jason Sehorn before and Jesse Armstead. This guy was of that era, too. And his name, and I feel like, too, even though he spent like almost a decade here, I feel like this is another forgotten name in Giants history. And that's Sean Williams. And this guy was a really good safety for the Giants for a long time. By the way, shout out to Giants Now, because that's the only photo I could find of this guy that would work. But thanks for letting us use the photo there, Giants Now. You should check them out. But Sean Williams, Dan, what do you think about Sean Williams?
Oh yeah, definitely. We got to give credit to Sean Williams. He definitely had some big, he had some big plays just flew under the radar, but equally as important to that championship as some of the big names on that team. Yeah,
and he was there long enough to be on that first championship team against the Patriots in 2007. So he did have a big role in that as well. Sean Williams, coming in there. Now, the next guy that we're going to be throwing out here, Dan, is, I'm sure some Giant fans, to be honest, I got to say, I was even surprised this guy played for the Giants, but he did return a punt for a touchdown, and he did return a kick for a touchdown as a Giant. And the Giants don't really have that many good punt or kick returners. I don't know if you could think of somebody better or whatever you wanted to do, Dan, but I thought that what we got on this list was Chad Morton, who, to be honest, I would even he was going to be on my list for the Jets. I thought of somebody better who we'll reveal in a little bit, but Chad Morton comes in as my Giants kick returner. This could be controversial for some, but what are your thoughts on Chad Morton being on the Giants quarter-century team, Dan?
I think rightfully so. He made some big plays during his time with the Giants, so you gotta give a lot of credit to him.
Yeah, I'm with you. So definitely Chad Morton on there, and hey, the guy did play 2 years here for the Giants. It's not very long, but it's weird how kick returners go. They don't really last very long for certain teams. And with the exception of like Devin Hester with the Chicago Bears there for a couple of years. But now we're gonna look at the kicker, Dan, and that is, who else could it be but the man that was on 2 championship teams, and that is Lawrence Tynes, kicking in your face.
Oh yeah, this guy made so many big plays, so many key field goals. The way this guy kept his cool, missing 2 attempts at getting the field goal that could win that game for that NFC Championship game. In that overtime, a lot of the pressure was on him. After he had missed 2 of them, he just had ice in his veins and got that kick in for one of the most emotional. Like, that game took the wind was knocked out of me after watching that game. I can tell you that. If you have no idea what it was, you'd be surprised at how wild I reacted that whole championship game, the NFC Championship game.
And rightfully so. Lawrence Tynes thrilling the New York Giants fan base there, no doubt about it.
And I got to give a big shout out to him for being on the Eastside Dave show that day. That was pretty cool, getting to interact with Lawrence Tynes that time during that time he appeared on the Eastside Dave show via Zoom.
That is true, and he did confirm that they did play the Eastside Dave "Forget Tom Brady" song on the Giants plane following the Super Bowl. So, big shout out there. And so the next guy we're going to move to now, Dan, is the Giants punter, and that is another guy who could be forgotten in Giants history. Let me pull his picture back up here, but that is punter Jeff Fiegels. Dan, what are your thoughts and memories of Jeff Fiegels, who was on that Giants Super Bowl team that lost to the Ravens in 2000? But what are your thoughts and memories of Jeff Fiegels?
Jeff Fiegels was just such a key punter. That guy got the job done in every punt. He kept those offensive in the deep starting position wherever they were. Like, he set up for the defense for our defense to be able to keep the scores low, without a doubt. You got to give credit to him.
Yeah, that's right. Jeff Fiegels played a big part in a lot of those Giants teams from the turn of the century over there. It's crazy to say that too, but yeah, that's definitely a big part of what we're seeing or what we saw of the Giants back then. So yeah, that is going to officially do it for us with the Giants quarter century team. Although we do have to name the head coach, Dan, and obviously I don't think it's going to surprise anybody that the Giants head coach has got to be Tom Coughlin.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Tom Coughlin, I feel, played a big factor into reviving the Giants to this formidable opponent that we knew, those championship teams. He is a key factor and architect into that, bringing him back, without a doubt, from that Parcells lineage that just brought great head coaching, and you got to give a lot of credit to Tom Coughlin, without a doubt. He got the most out of his guys on that team when he was coach.
No doubt about it, Dan. And there's Tom Coughlin holding up the Lombardi Trophy. And, it's funny how, we can rewrite history too. But I was just listening to a Ron and Fez from January of 2006. And it was right after – oh, no, I'm sorry. It was actually January of 2007. So it was just after the 2006 season. The Giants had gotten knocked out of the playoffs. Everybody was pissed that Tom Coughlin was coming back. I was listening to Eastside Dave vent about it. He was not happy Coughlin was coming back. He was not happy that Tiki was retiring, and and he was valid for that. Ronnie B was agreeing with him. Fez was agreeing with him. That was not a crazy thought at that time, and it just goes to show you, because I'm sure I would have agreed at the time with him. I'm sure you would have agreed at the time with him. But it's just funny how we can criticize the owners all we want, but what a good decision it was for John Mara to stick with Tom Coughlin in that scenario.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, it was a great decision. They just need to be patient. They had to let this team cook a bit, and boy, when it did, we gave us one of those memorable moments. The reason I have 2 daily newses with it that have the New York Giants related on that back page hanging on my wall to this day.
That's right, man. So that's going to do it for the Giants quarter century team. And you know what? I think I'm going to call an audible here too, Dan, because we are an hour and 20 in right now. And if we do the Jets, this is going to be a 2-hour show. So you know what?
Yeah.
We'll just save the Jets for next week. We'll do the Jets after next week's show. So we did the Giants this week. We'll get back to the Jets next week at the end of next week's show. So no big deal. We checked that off the box this time, and we'll come back. But before we get out of here, Dan, though, we do have to do our NFL picks, and that is going to be what we get to right now. For the season, right now, I am 14-9. Bobo is 11-12. And last week, I ended up covering with Philadelphia and the Jets, and Bobo covered with the Chargers. We went head-to-head on every game, so I went 2-1. And Bo went 1-2. So this is where we stand for the year right now. Let's just get to our picks for the week now, Dan. And let's start off with Thursday Night Football tonight. We're going to pick Thursday Night Football. We're going to pick the Giants. And we're going to pick Sunday Night Football. So starting off with this, Dan, what are your thoughts on Thursday Night Football? We've got the Ravens who, still don't have Lamar back. They're still looking to straighten things out against a Dolphins team that obviously have had a lot of problems this year, but they're coming off a big 34-10 win. What do you think about this matchup tonight, Dan?
All right, I'm gonna go quick on these football predictions because I got to go to the bathroom. I'm iron bladdering it, but I'm gonna say for this one, without a doubt, the Ravens are gonna win this. I feel like 17-7. They got too good of a defense that they're gonna. I feel like this is gonna how it's gonna end up.
Okay, so you're saying Ravens are gonna cover. I'm with you on that. Ravens, obviously, they are, and we got the music going here again now. But yeah, totally with you on that. Ravens 7.5. I'm with you. We're both going Baltimore. All right, Sunday night game. We got the Seahawks 3-point favorites at Washington and the Commanders. Dan, what are your thoughts on this?
I feel like the Seahawks, they kind of got a pretty good defense. So I feel like this one's going to be like maybe 27-14.
Okay, yeah, so you got the Seahawks covering this one at -3 too. I'm actually going to take the Commanders. I think the Commanders are getting a little bit of disrespect. They still have a really good team. We're going Commanders +3, and you're going Seahawks -3. All right, finally, Dan, with the Giants. We are doing the Niners and the Giants. Niners are 2.5-point favorites at MetLife against the Giants. Dan, who do you got in this one?
I feel like this one, I got the 40. Unfortunately, I'm a Giants fan, but I have a feeling the 49ers are going to win this one 32-27. I just feel like the 49ers are too tough an opponent. But I feel like the Giants are going to hang in there and show some fight in them that I feel is going to – remember, I've been saying all year about carrying that momentum into next year. I feel like this is a game that's going to be like a building block. And they're not going to make it an easy win for their opponent.
That's the name of the game. I'm with you on this. I'm taking the Niners -2.5. The Giants, they've been playing good, but with the loss of Scatterboo, they don't have Neighbors. And the 49ers having a really good defense under former Jets head coach Robert Saleh. I think that's going to be too much to overcome for the New York Giants. So I am with you, Dan. I'm taking 49ers -2.5. So we got both taking the Ravens. We're head-to-head, Seahawks and Commanders, and we're both taking the 49ers. So that's going to do it for us this week on this edition of Best Seat in the House podcast. Dan, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us here on this extra long special Halloween edition where we did our quarter century team. We'll pick up the Jets quarter century team next week. But Dan, before we get out of here, anything you'd like to plug for yourself?
All right, a couple of things. My plugs, I gotta say, follow me on Bobo103NYC, Instagram Bobo718DK, YouTube, one word, Daniel Curlin. Don't forget to subscribe to our Patreon. Where whenever I upload stuff, you get 1 week early access to my YouTube videos. So definitely get access to that at Treks I Bid It, and you always support the show when you support our Patreon. It's only $5 a month. Not bad a deal. And I'll probably film Tracks I Admitted a little later today or tomorrow. I got to go through a lot of stuff this week, but I did watch the race, and I'll have the Tracks I Admitted in soon enough so definitely be. And I want to wish everyone watching this show a happy and safe Halloween.
That's right. Happy Halloween to everybody. And if you want to give yourself a little Halloween treat, you can subscribe to our Patreon, like Dan said, patreon.com/Best Seat in the House podcast. We also just put up a little compound karaoke moment from 10 years ago at Anthony's house, the compound, when Bobo was singing Jesse's Girl dressed as MacGyver. So if you want to get that little treat for yourself, feel free to check it out. It's up on Patreon right now. Yeah, that's going to do it for us tonight. So for my co-host, the great Daniel Bobo Curlin, I'm Rob Kramer. This is the Best Seat in the House podcast, everybody. You have a great and happy Halloween, and we will see you on Sunday for our Giants postgame show. Have a great weekend, everybody. Happy Halloween.